The weirdest stuff from World War II that'll make you say, wait, WTF, what the facts? World War II had tanks, bombers, dictators with bad moustaches and also pigeons trained as weapons, soda invented for Nazis, and a corpse that became a spy. Seriously, if you dig a little deeper into the history books, you find a treasure trove of moments thinking, wait, this actually happened? Let's dive into the top 10 weirdest, cleverest, and most hilariously bizarre things that went down in World War II, all designed to make you say, no way, that's real. 1. Pigeon-guided missiles, literal bird brains at work. Meet Project Pigeon, a real US military experiment where pigeons were trained to guide bombs by pecking at pictures of enemy ships. B.F. Skinner, the psychologist who dreamed it up, said, why use a guidance system when you can just train birds with breadcrumbs and patriotic duty? The pigeons were placed in the nose of the bomb, yes, the actual bomb, where a tiny screen showed the target. If the ship moved off center, the pigeons would peck like crazy to steer the bomb back on track. It worked, actually worked, but the military said, this is too wacky. We'll stick to humans and explosives. Because clearly, blowing up things with birds was crossing a line. 2. The Ghost Army, where duct tape defeated the Nazis. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, aka the Ghost Army, was a secret US unit made of artists, sound engineers, and people who probably ran the drama club in high school. Their mission? Trick the German military using inflatable tanks, recorded sound effects, and fake radio transmissions. They'd roll into a town, blow up 300 rubber Sherman tanks, blast soundtracks of soldiers yelling and trucks moving, and fake radio chatter like, hey Bob, meet at the tank depot at 3. Boom, instant fake army. They even created fake shoulder patches to pose as other units. These guys didn't fire a single bullet, but they convinced entire divisions of Nazis to change plans. That's the power of good audio mixing and arts and crafts. 3. Japan's balloon bombs, the worst long-distance relationship ever. Between 1944 and 1945, Japan launched over 9,000 balloon bombs, yes, hydrogen balloons carrying explosives, across the Pacific Ocean to attack the US mainland. These things floated over 6,000 miles, riding the jet stream, hoping to start fires in North America. Around 300 actually made it. Some landed in California, one hit a power line in Washington. Tragically, one exploded in Oregon, killing a teacher and 5 children on a picnic. It was the only wartime deaths on the US mainland. The US kept it quiet so Japan wouldn't know it was working. And yet, balloon warfare sounds like the kind of strategy that starts with, here, hold my beer. 4. Operation Mincemeat, James Bond meets Weekend at Bernie's. This one's straight up movie worthy. British intelligence found a corpse, dressed him up as a Royal Marine officer, planted fake invasion plans on him, and dropped him off the coast of Spain. They made the body's backstory incredibly detailed, name, fiancé, theater tickets, love letters, even receipts. The Spanish recovered the body and passed the fake intel to Germany. Hitler fell for it hook, line, and soggy sinker. Because of that rotting body in a British uniform, Hitler moved troops away from Sicily, the real invasion point. This may be the only time in history where a dead guy saved thousands of lives using pure BS. 5. Bat bombs, the most chaotic animal weapon ever. The US thought, bats can sneak into small spaces. What if we strap tiny incendiary bombs to them? That's how Project X-Ray was born. They packed thousands of bats into refrigerated canisters, planning to release them over Japanese cities at dawn. The bats would roost in buildings, the bombs would go off, and voila, chaos. Sounds smart, until the test run, where the bats escaped early at a US base in New Mexico, and it burned down to the ground. The whole thing was scrapped when someone said, hey, we have a new toy called the atomic bomb. But let the record show, the US accidentally firebombed itself with weaponized flying mammals first. 6. The Great Panjandrum, rocket-powered disaster on wheels. Imagine strapping rockets to 2 giant cartwheels, filling the middle with explosives, and aiming it at the enemy. That's the Great Panjandrum, a British invention that sounds like a rejected Mario Kart weapon. It was supposed to zoom up the beach, dodge landmines, and blow holes in concrete bunkers. But in testing, it wobbled, it spun. It reversed direction and nearly killed a group of high-ranking officers watching the trial. One reporter literally dove behind a sand dune to avoid death by rogue wheel. After several disastrous runs, they said, maybe just use regular tanks? And the Panjandrum went to the same retirement home as bat bombs. 7. Hitler wanted to turn Moscow into a swimming pool. After invading the Soviet Union, Hitler didn't just want to conquer Moscow, he wanted to flood it and turn it into a man-made lake. Actual Nazi documents outlined plans to divert rivers and destroy dams to literally wipe Moscow off the map. The idea was less military strategy and more like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. Stalin and the Soviets weren't having it, and Moscow never became Germany's Olympic diving spot. But it's wild to think Hitler had SimCity-level plans for a major world capital. 8. Fanta, Nazi soda with a fruity aftertaste. When Coca-Cola couldn't import syrup into Nazi Germany during the war, the German division decided to improvise. With sugar rations and imports blocked, they whipped up a new drink using leftovers, apple pomace, whey, beet sugar, and a lot of marketing spin. They called it Fanta. It sold like crazy. So yes, that fizzy orange drink you sip at parties was created in Nazi Germany out of desperation and fruit waste. Coca-Cola eventually reclaimed it, cleaned up its history, and turned it into a global brand. But it started as Nazi bootleg soda. 9. Real-life James Bond gadgets. Made by a magician. British intelligence hired Jasper Maskelyne, a professional magician, to develop tricks and gadgets for spies and pals. Think real-life Q from 007, but with more flair. They smuggled tiny compasses inside shirt buttons, hid maps in Monopoly boards, and made fake cigarettes that contained microfilm. There was even a pipe that could shoot a bullet, because, of course, smoking kills. It was like Etsy for espionage. These gadgets helped hundreds of soldiers escape captivity and survive behind enemy lines, all thanks to stage magic and a whole lot of glue. 10. Soviet anti-tank dogs, cute but catastrophic. In desperation, the Soviets trained dogs to carry bombs under enemy tanks. Sounds clever, until you realize they trained the dogs with Soviet tanks during practice. So when the dogs hit the battlefield, they ran under the familiar-looking tanks, which were unfortunately their own. Explosions, chaos, and lots of confused barking. Eventually, the plan was shelved, but not before a few awkward moments of, well, that didn't go as planned. War is hell, and apparently also deeply confusing for dogs. So yeah, World War II wasn't just tanks and generals yelling in black and white photos. It was a whirlwind of flying bombs, inflatable armies, soda from Nazis, and animals turned into weapons. Humanity's creativity in war knows no limits, or common sense. If you laughed, cringed, or shouted, "There's no way that's true," then congrats, you now know more weird World War II trivia than 99% of history teachers. Please hit like, subscribe, and send this to your nerdy friend who loves war docs.